So I'm happy to be here today with Kris Althoff, Implementation Manager for the National Institute for Direct Instruction. Kris was the initial trainer and support person from NIFDI at Dixons Manningham. And so, Kris, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I hail from Minnesota. I was a first grade teacher for 40 years. The last 40 years were direct instruction, and every one of my students read. So I'm very passionate about this because it works. And I had the wonderful opportunity to go over to Dixons Manningham twice and do initial training. It was just really a good experience over there that they were all gung-ho about doing direct instruction.
So tell us a bit about the work you did in terms of in terms of setting up the implementation, scheduling, timetabling.
Well, the timetabling was pretty much set up from the NIFDI office, but I went over to do initial training in the Reading Mastery Signatures Edition, and that was in their reception through year 3. And therefore, it was mostly just our RMSE, as we call it, reading and language of one K and 1. But the other things I helped with was like the placement. We had to give all the placement tests. That's where you have to start. Besides having a schedule, these are kind of going congruently at the same time that you need the schedule, you need the teachers, you need the training, you need all of that. But my main focus when I went over there was initial training and getting into the classrooms to see how the follow-up went with that initial training.
And you assisted, you said you did 2 on-site visits over the course of your work with Dixons Manningham.
Yes.
You also did video observations and feedback?
I did some video observations. They would video me and then they would send it to me and I would look it over several times and give some feedback about how the signals are going, how the responses are going, are they sticking to the script, and if they have a good pace, whatever, to do that. And all of that has been student referenced. I'm looking at the students and then giving teachers some help and making a stronger implementation for their students.
So everything was student focused in terms of
Yes.
what the student performance problems are.
Yes.
That's great, and that's certainly consistent with the NIFDI model. How frequently did you interact over the course of the work with Dixons Manningham?
Well, we tried to set up calls every week, but sometimes it became every other week to look at data. They would also send me data and I would look that over and give some feedback of what I saw the student performance of, whether it was on a fluency checkout, that we call it, or a mastery test, just to see how they're doing, because everything in direct instruction has always been on mastery. And so we wanted to make sure that Dixons Manningham, in their implementation, that all the teachers were holding their students to mastery and how to do that.
What were some of the obstacles that you encountered?
Well, the obstacles that most schools have. Do you have enough room for all the groups? Do you have group size as we recommended? Do you have enough teachers to be able to do this, and have they all been trained? Those are some of the obstacles, but they were very positive about wanting to do this with integrity and doing the best they can to meet all the needs of what we would have in our program reference chart.
Can you comment on the work that was done to sustain the implementation once NIFDI support ended?
Oh, I sure can. Well, while I was still with them, but remotely, we had some coaching academies or institutes, and we did that, and the principal was involved in that as well. And 4 people were sent over to the conference one year. 3 of them were in the Effective Trainer Institute, and 1 went to the administrators. And then the following year, the one person that couldn't make it came over to the conference and also attended the effective training. So now that if they are staying there, then they are helping to sustain the integrity and the whole program of direct instruction at their school.
So tell me a bit about the chronology of events at Dixons Manningham.
Well, it all started in the upper years that they were doing corrective reading because they weren't getting the results that they wanted with the other curriculum that they were using. And so therefore, they started to look at what can we do in the lower levels, reception to year 3, that will have an impact so we don't always have to go to corrective to be able to do that. So the principal looked into direct instruction for the lower levels and decided maybe this is the thing to do, contacted NIFDI, and then they helped to set up some things as far as, hey, you should probably have this for your schedule. You should have some training. So they set up training. I was the trainer to go over there to train in Reading Mastery Signatures Edition. And that was for the reception to year 3. And then while I was over there, fortunately, it was in person at that time. Then I would get into the classrooms to see how effective the training was, and if they needed any tweaks or hints to be able to have students come to mastery. So that was really important. And so then after that got started, then we continued on. They sent me data. They sent me that I would respond to weekly. And then sometimes they would send me videos, and then I would respond to that as far as student referencing, what's happening for the student, because we always want the student to be incrementally moving up like a staircase that NIFDI has, that it's only 10 or 15% that's new each time, that once we're really solid on each step, then we can move forward. Then we know we're at mastery. One of the things that they really learned, though, was individual turns are kind of a mini test about how well the teacher has implemented and held them to firm or to mastery before they would give a mastery test. And that's usually most of the tests in the in reception and 1 were every 5 lessons. And those 5 lessons would be either a mastery test and a fluency checkout, or just a fluency checkout itself. And then when they got into the Reading Mastery Signature Edition 2, then it had them fluency every 5, but mastery tests every 10 lessons. And then to really learn that the first 2, RMSEK and 1, that they are learning how to read. And then once they get into 2 and 3, then they were learning from reading. The other 2, 4, and 5 are in literature, but I don't think that they did those, but they were getting that how to read, really a very, very solid foundation. So once that was started, and a few months later, then I was able to come back again to see what it's like in person, rather than just looking at all the data and the videos, because I didn't get to see everyone on a video. And the same thing, it was just really fun to watch how the students were so engaged and the teachers were really on board about it and engaging with them and making learning very exciting. And especially every once in a while in language and reception, if it was an American word and we had English words. So they were kind of using both at the same time, but they were very excited about that. So then after the second trip, then it was virtual due to COVID, unfortunately. And then I would have some training of coaching. And that was every teacher was involved in that. And the principal was involved as well. And then we moved on to there. Once that, it was just continuing on through the rest of the year with looking at data and looking at videos that were sent. And then after that year, when we could have our conference again, then 4 came over, 3 to take effective trainers institute, and 1 to go to the admin. One person couldn't go that year, so they went the following year, and that was Yasmin. And She is really gung-ho about what's going on and wants to keep this going. And the others that were in the trainers, they are training new people as they come in because there are turnover in teachers. And by having those trainers on site, then they're able to keep the integrity of the DI programs steady without getting watered down, whatever, because they did very well at the Institute, and it was very exciting to have them come over. So I haven't talked to them recently, but I know that they're still doing it, and I'm sure that they're very successful because every once in a while we do hear about the results of testing that, oh my goodness, they made it to here, and then they made it to here. And so then that gets very exciting to like, we're going to continue on and we're going to do this. So I'm very proud of them, and I'm very happy that they're having such success with direct instruction.